Thank you so much, and my most sincere thanks to Maya Rockamore, the President and CEO for the Center for Global Policy Solutions, and to Henry Ramos, the President and CEO of the Insight Center for Community Economic Development, for organizing this very important event. And it was good to see J.C. Watts. I served with him. I'm sorry that he left Congress. He made a difference then, and his remarks were interesting. And I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy lives to be here today and for the insights and energy you bring to an issue that affects all of us. Today, I bring you some good news and some bad news. Let me start with the bad news first. The bad news is that you are absolutely right. Income inequality is a growing problem in the United States, and new research by the Joint Economic Committee shows that beyond question, that's the case. Data reveals that this problem has been growing for more than 3 decades, and it's now near a record high. And that's not good for anyone, rich or poor, black or white. Extreme inequality is corrosive. It hurts families, it weakens our economy, and it weakens our democracy. It affects how we think of ourselves as a nation and diminishes our standing in the court of world opinion. However, many Americans don't experience stark inequality in their daily lives, and many policymakers choose to absolutely ignore it. But careful study of economic data can help provide vivid insight into complex issues. The Center for Global Policy Solutions and some of the other organizations represented here today at this conference have been producing reports that are a tremendous resource, and I thank each and every one of you for your work. As the ranking member of the U.S. Congress's Joint Economic Committee, I have the privilege of being able to direct studies of critically important economic issues. Recently, working in cooperation with my colleagues on the Congressional Black Caucus and the CBC chairman in particular, G.K. Butterfield, I instructed the Democratic staff of the JEC to investigate the economic challenges facing the American black community. The numbers we found are pretty shocking. The current unemployment rate for blacks is more than double the rate for whites. 10.1% for blacks versus 4.7% for whites. A higher percentage of blacks are unemployed now than the percentage of whites who were unemployed in the very depths of the Great Recession. The median annual income of African-American households is nearly $24,000 less than the median income of white households, and that's year after year after year after year. The median net worth of white households is 13 times the level for black households, according to data from the Federal Reserve. In 2013, the entire net worth of the median African-American household was only $11,000, hardly enough to buy a reliable used car. Black Americans are almost 3 times more likely to live in poverty than white Americans. There is nothing good to say about these numbers. They paint a disturbing picture of the status of black Americans. But carefully researching and internalizing numbers like these can yield an immensely positive result. They can inspire us to action. Even those who loathe government will have a very difficult time facing these numbers and being content with not doing something about it. We have to do something about it. And that's why we must make sure that every American knows these numbers and understands them. The good news is that there are things that can be done to make the situation better. Practical, achievable, popular policies that we can do right now to start the process moving forwards, the process of change. And I will give you my top 4. First and foremost, we should increase the shrinking minimum wage. Bills to increase the minimum wage are being introduced in the House and Senate today, and I am proud to be an original co-sponsor of Congressman Bobby Scott's bill to raise the minimum wage. In fact, the minimum wage is worth far less today than it was almost 50 years ago. In 1968, someone earning the minimum wage and working full-time year-round earned the equivalent of $22,700 today. And that's not much to live on. But today, that same full-time year-round worker makes just over $15,000. That's almost $8,500 below the poverty line for a family of four. By other measures, the United States is the most prosperous country in the world. No American who works full-time, year-round, should have to live in poverty. And President Obama continually says, every American who wants a job should have the opportunity to have a job. Simply restoring the hourly minimum wage to what it was worth in 1968 would mean an additional $7,000 annually to full-time minimum wage workers. So I join my Democratic colleagues in Congress, urging them to pass the new bills by Senator Patty Murray and Congressman Bobby Scott to increase the minimum wage. And when you go back to your hometowns, make sure that your Congress members and your senators are co-sponsors of this vital legislation. Second, we should expand the Earned Income Tax Credit. And this bill provides poor families with greater economic incentive to work hard and earn more. This policy, initiated by President Clinton, former President Clinton, rewarded work for people who wanted to work, and it helped them. The Earned Income Tax Credit has been proven to be both practical and effective. And in 2013, it lifted about 6.3 million people out of poverty. Third, we should make sure every American has access to a quality education, from preschool to college. Members on both sides of the aisle say that education is the key to success in America. Let's act like we mean it. We should expand early childhood education, restore cuts to the Pell Grants, and strengthen the role of community colleges. And in the Republican budget, they cut not only the grants and the funding for the Pell Grants, but they cut the tax credits for college education, the tax credits for the Earned Income Tax Credit, the tax credits for having children. This undermines the working men and women in America, and it's terrible policy, and we need to change that in this budget debate. And fourth, we should also get serious about passing some of the bipartisan bills that address the problems in our criminal justice system. The Smarter Sentencing Act would be a great place to start. And the majority of Americans support these ideas. These are not pie-in-the-sky actions. They are practical, achievable, affordable, and fair. Because nothing will get done unless policymakers truly grasp the scope of the problems we face, and that is why even the most tragic statistics, like one in your fact sheets and those in your recent JEC report on the economic status of Black Americans, can lead us to a better future. And copies of this report are on the table outside this conference. So I want to thank you for your commitment to these issues. They're important. And I urge you to focus laser-like on the numbers that reveal the scope of the problems we face, and to help make sure that all Americans know these well. Only by understanding the depth of the problem can we begin to fashion a solution. Thank you for being part of the answer and part of the effort to correct the income inequality and the injustice in the pay of our working Americans. So I thank you very much for this opportunity to address this distinguished audience. Thank you.